Hey, Guru Nation, how's it going? For those that want to follow my journey on starting a site in a new town from the ground up, thank you very much for following. We're going to be doing way more. I'm just in the beginning stages right now in September, late September 2021, over here in Yuma, Arizona. So make sure you follow on my channel. There's a playlist, there's a lot of playlists. One of them is me documenting my journey of my Yuma site, Yuma, Arizona site. So, the pros and cons of having when you're starting out, having your own office space versus renting or not renting, but just working out of your first PI's office or maybe multiple PI's different offices. There's pros and cons to both. Number one, the biggest pro of working inside another doctor's office is you don't have to pay rent if you negotiate it properly with the PI, or even if you do have to pay a little bit of rent to them, you're not paying a lot. You're only paying for the space that you're using. More likely than not, you're getting way less than market value for the rent that you're paying. And most importantly, you are not guaranteeing any lease, although there are ways to get out of that. One of my YouTube members, Lee Eifler, he's big on not personally guaranteeing ever. And we've gotten to the point now with our other company, our parent company, DSCS, where we have enough assets to not have to personally guarantee leases. But that might not be the option for you when you're starting out. So that's obviously the biggest pro working at a doctor's office. Another less discussed but equally important pro of working in the doctor's office is, go figure, the doctors are there. The doctors are there to sign papers, meet with monitors, see patients, whatever they need to do as a PI or any of their clinician sub-Is. That's huge. Another huge thing is they probably already have all the equipment you need. They probably already have a CLIA waiver or a CLIA certificate. They probably have, they might have calibration log. They might have place for drug storage. Now, you're always going to have to do things like, in my case, the equipment, the doctor has all the equipment we need minus a few things which I bought, like a -20 freezer. One study needed an incubator, so we had to buy an incubator. I had to buy separate locking drug cabinets. Never mind, we're talking like a couple $100 for each of these things. Not a big deal. My doctor even has a refrigerated centrifuge and a bunch of other equipment that I did not need to buy. So I got lucky in those cases. What they didn't have was calibration. So I have to hire somebody. It's not a big deal, but when you're in a smaller town, they have to come from bigger cities. So they have to come either from Phoenix or from San Diego to come calibrate. So off the bat, it's already going to cost us $300 just for them to travel out here, which for equipment calibration once a year is not a big deal. The bigger issue is scheduling things. So you have to deal with doctors' admins. And when you're dealing with doctors' admins, you can step on people's toes. I've seen this happen many times in the past with clients of ours. Ultimately, you're going to outgrow working in the doctor's office because most doctor's offices are not equipped to handle more than maybe 4 studies, which is exactly what we kind of figured. We can do about 4 to 5 studies in my doctor's office before we have to move to our own place. Then we're still going to do studies in his office, but we'll be more selective about which ones we do there. And then we'll do other studies with him still in our new location. So the admin, the support staff, it's great to have phlebotomists and MAs and equipment and everything there. It's bad to deal with admins when they're not really into the research. To them, it's just another thing that they have to manage now. And so simple things like scheduling people to come calibrate the equipment, which in my own place, right, I can make that decision in 2 seconds. Yes, this date is fine. Calm down. Now I have to ask like 3 or 4 people, hey, does this date work for you? Does this date? It wastes a lot of time. And sometimes people don't even respond to what I'm saying. Like, hey, I need this calibration to come in. I know you probably missed my last email or I went to spam, but like we really need to get this done. So those kind of things, it's obviously a disadvantage. Now, in my opinion, I'd much rather deal with those disadvantages than the disadvantages of renting my own space early on. Early on, once you get a few studies and some revenue going, then it becomes much easier and less risky to rent your own space, right? And there's obviously a lot of pros there. You're in control of scheduling and logistics and everything. You're in control of all the space, right? You can have all the space you want. You don't have to share it with other providers as you do in the doctor's office, where they're constantly moving your things around because, oh, a provider needs this room now, so we got to move this over here. And you kind of can't complain because you're not paying rent, right? You're just there. Like, whatever they say, you got to do. So in your own place, that's not the case, right? So I think the best way to do it is to initially do it, if you can, in the doctor's office. And then once you get some revenue going from even one study or two studies, however many you can accommodate in that space before you have to move out, that's when you go out and lease a place. And still continue to do studies in the doctor's office, but maybe reduce it to like one or two, or however many they can, less than how many they can max out at that particular site that they operate in, because it's always good to have the physicians doing studies in their own practice as well. But you can be more selective then and more strategic about the protocols that you bring there. Which ones can you do? Which ones have 6-hour visits for patients? Obviously, that would be better in your own office versus a doctor's office. Which ones are just in and out quick visits? Which ones are more high volume? Because if they're high volume but fast visits, that's a good study for the doctor's office. If they're long visits and complicated, good for your place. Now, make sure when you lease your own place that it's close enough to the doctor to where it's not inconvenient for them to come. So, this whole time that we're going to start looking for space, I'm in communication with my physician, and I have other specialists that I'm doing the same thing in their offices as well. But when I have my central location, I'm going to talk to them too. Hey, is this location good for you? And make sure that, I mean, with specialists as opposed to general medicine doctors, you're going to get less studies for them because it's specialist. There's fewer studies. So the main concern is the family practice, internal medicine. But the specialists also matter. And yes, you can do studies in their office and you're going to run into the same issues as well. But it's nice to have a central location. And it's perfect if you're in a smaller town like the one I'm in, as opposed to like LA or Miami, where your doctor, even for like 5 miles, might be like a 30-minute drive. Whereas 5 miles over here where I live, that's like a 10-minute drive, right? The big difference. So a lot of variables, but I just wanted to do a quick video on the pros and cons of using your own space versus using space out of the physician's office. And hopefully this helps you site owners out. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.